Today what we're doing, we have a special guest. Joining me later is mcrocklin, Thomas mcrocklin, the guitar prodigy. And we are live with Mr. mcrocklin. Awesome. Good to see you in the digital world.
I know, and likewise, absolutely.
We are actually, using some old technology called Skype. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. Did you see the beginning where I showed the video of you in the band Bad for Good that Steve Vai put together back in the 80s?
I was like, whoa, what to do with all these throwbacks?
I like that song.
I remember the solo actually was like...
When was the last time you played that song?
Probably like in the 90s, like a hell of a long time ago. And it's funny because the band actually didn't like that song. That was like the label song. We were almost forced to play that song in the set when we were doing gigs and tours. I think it's been long enough time that I can say that now, right?
You should say what you think. All those people out, I'm sure they don't care anymore. It's so long ago. Huh? I know a lot of people know. They've seen you on live stream when we were on the UK tour, on the DragonForce tour. Because mcrocklin was our special guest with mcrocklin and Hutch, your, I guess, the synthwave shred guitar project. What do you call it?
Shredwave, I guess, officially, because it's got its own little sub-genre in the synthwave genre.
You started playing guitar really early age, and I would say you were discovered by Steve Vai after you were on television and all that.
I started playing around about the age of 4. That's when I played like my first chord progression. And basically my dad was into, Led Zeppelin, Van Halen, and, Black Sabbath and stuff. And he was into them enough to have a guitar in the house. So when he would go to work, I'd grab his guitar and just, but eventually he kind of, he was like, let's show him some chords. You get the chord change right for the first time and you get that buzz. It sounds like the song and it felt right. And from that moment on, I kind of just, I kept playing and playing. And I guess my first big break was when I was around about 8 years old and I opened up for Ozzy Osbourne in my hometown in Newcastle. And from that moment onwards, the TV and everything kind of just escalated. My dad was always just kind of like, let's just drive this kid around and put his leathers on and his boots that were like 4 sizes too big and park outside of massive venues because there's a chance the artists could be walking out and they'll spot them. And one of those chance meetings happened at Donington in '88, and I'm sitting on the back of my dad's car with a brand new floral gem which we just had kind of recently delivered from the States. And then one of Steve Vai's techs, I think, spots me sitting there. Like, what the hell's going on here? He's got this little kid on the back of a car with a floral gem. And then I kind of get yanked into Steve's tour bus. And I played Tobacco Road, or the David Lee Roth cover version. And that was it, the kind of relationship with Steve starting from there. And then I later went on to do the Audience's Listening music video with Steve. And we've been lifelong friends, I think, ever since.
You told me you stopped playing the guitar for a number of years. What got you to suddenly pick up the guitar again and try to go back to the top level of guitar playing? I mean, you're not playing easy stuff here. You can't just pick it up and strum a few chords. You really have to get in, dig in.
Honestly, I think there's a few guys that I know that kept trying to tempt me because they knew about my past. So I picked up my Steve Ray Vaughan Strat and I posted something just very casually to Facebook. And I remember I just got a ton more views than what I was expecting. Everybody was just like commenting like crazy. I was like, all right, that was fun. And then I started to do a little bit on Instagram. I think once you get that spark, it doesn't take much. And when it ignites, it's just like, woof, it's off, you'll know that feeling yourself.
Have you got your guitar plugged into a line at the moment? I'm wondering.
Yeah, it's I don't know how it's going to sound over Skype and then in your stream. So here's a clean sound. How's that sound?
Sounds great. Sounds awesome. Play some more.
Try some gain.
Sounds absolutely awesome. What kind of gear you got to make that sound?
So right now my guitar's going into a little splitter. Basically my guitar's going into my line selector, and then under my desk I have my most used pedals, my guitar going into the precision drive. It's a great, just a really subtle pedal. I love it. So we go from that out of the switcher into this Victory Valve Sheriff head That goes into the Boss tube amp expander, which is like a really cool load box. Then goes into the audio interface, which is going into Ableton, and that's where I'm putting my reverbs and delays and other stuff on. And then it's just coming out my monitors in my room.
We're wondering, what's that gem you have behind you?
This is one of the custom Ibanez's that Ibanez made for me.
Is this from when you were like 8 years old playing?
Ibanez probably made this for me when I was like, about 10, so maybe a slightly bit older. This guitar is one of my main guitars when I was on tour with Bad for Good, and it went missing. It missed a flight or something happened and it didn't make it to the show. And me and Steve Vai had the same tech at the time. I asked Steve if I could use his floral gem for the show. He gave his floral gem to the tech, and the tech brought it to the show, and everything was good. But, when I was like a kid, I was just absolutely crazy, a complete lunatic. And then I'd cut Steve's guitar up really badly. Like, I cut the handle out of the guitar. I don't know why, but then my guitar turned up at the studio. He hacksawed my guitar to bits, but I think he showed a little bit more restraint and maturity than I did, because his guitar was far worse than mine. We're all good now, there's no hard feelings, right?
When they restored these guitars for you a few years ago, you weren't like an endorser, right? They were happy to just fix your guitars up, or?
It's a sort of interesting one, right? Because I have such like history with Ibanez, going back to when I was a kid and being in the magazines. And I remember I think it was 2017, I did some stuff at NAMM, and it was kind of by chance that I was sitting in the Fishman booth and they had a Strandberg equipped with Fishman pickups. I was like sitting noodling on this Strandberg, suddenly the balance and the feel, it was like, oh shit, this is actually really what I've been looking for. And then I kind of didn't really think too much about it, because Ibanez had been so great to me already, and I'd had all these guitars. And then just by chance, somebody tagged me in one of Kiesel's posts, and Jeff Kiesel, DM'd me like 30 seconds later and asked if I'd like to try one of their guitars out. They built one, and I didn't really give them too much clues on what I liked. It's like, I like Fishman pickups now, and whatever you want to build, just build it. And then they built me an Osiris, and I remember when it arrived, in a couple of minutes, I was like, oh, damn, this is exactly what I've been looking for. It felt really solid. It felt more like an extension of me, and then that sparked the move to playing full-time kind of headless Kiesel guitars, and that's kind of how that whole thing came about.
We met because of Abasi guitars and you using Fishman pickups, right?
Yeah.
This is a story. So it was at NAMM, I guess about 3-4 years ago, something like that. I was walking past Tosin's booth. I was going to go and see who is Tosin torturing now. And then I thought, who the hell is this guy? Sounds really good. And that was you. I didn't know it was you, because I wasn't like paying attention to what's going on, man. And then you go, yeah, that guy plays my Abasi Fishman pickups, right? And I go, wait, that's Thomas McRocklin. You know who he is? Huh? I'm not sure. He's the guy in the Steve Vai video, blah, 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 blah. So that's how we end up talking. I came up to you. That's crazy.
I think some chemistry kind of definitely clicked, and then we hung out outside and stuff, and then we ended up going for a cool ride in the car another day. It was awesome.
And here we are. That's why I had this guitar to kind of bring the story up. Do you still use the Fishman? Which Fishman pickups do you use right now?
Right now, all my mains actually do have the Tosin sets in them. I have 3 guitars that have Tosin's Fluence pickups in them. What I really like about them is probably the splits. The clean sound is probably the sparkliest clean sound you'll hear, really. So it's like super, it just has a great split.
Coming from a DiMarzio pickups, right? What have attracted you to them? What's the difference that made you go for the switch?
For me, the way Fishman's work is basically that they're essentially like PCP boards as opposed to like wound coils. There's very low noise. So if you're on stage, or if you're sitting in front of your recording setup, in the past, everybody does this when they're recording with like distortion on. They kind of try to find that sweet spot where there's the least amount of Fishman Fluence. They don't suffer from that nearly as much, so they're really, really quiet when it comes to that. And I also really like the tone. It's a very clear, even when you hear like high gain, you kind of hear the separation really well for me anyway. Even when you have like a really dissonant type of chord, it's got a lot of detail in it. And the other side of it is they just have some amazing split tones. And I use splits like a lot. So even when I play with like this type of gain, I'll go like... That really kind of split sound, I kind of really like that a lot as well. They have great splits.
I would love, if you're plugged in, to hear you play something properly line checked in. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, awesome. Woo!
Wow,
Woo.
Thank you.
That was awesome to see you shred, man. Love it. So about your guitar school of mcrock.
School of mcrock, yeah.
Can you tell me something about it? And I'm actually very serious. I do want my login. I want to check it out because I want to learn some of these sick licks and then change it and pretend that I made it up.
Sort it out. School of mcrock, basically, it's very short lessons. 15 to 20 minutes is the kind of average. If we do a lick breakdown, I always include as many insights that's going to be useful for any type of guitar player. You know, obviously there's a lot more progressive type of players, but it's predominantly bite-sized lessons that are just packed with insights, you know, stuff that I've worked on for years in a very, very short bite-sized lesson, so it's not overwhelming.
I really like the bite-sized idea. I'm actually very serious. I want to try some of these licks out. That's from your new album, New Beginnings, right?
Yeah, good spot, man. Good spot. That's a little Riff Times. So.
yeah, it's awesome. I have it in my car. Actually, I listen to that a lot.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you, man.
So I'm not going to take too much more of your time. I think that was awesome that you get to come on.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you having me on your Twitch, Herman. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Hope you had fun, and thanks again, Herman, for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Everybody, go and follow his Instagram. You get a lot of updates on there. Follow the Twitch and check out School of mcrock if you're a guitar player.
Yeah, thank you.
Add something to your playing, or even just, reading about it. So go check it out. All right. I'll catch you later, Thomas. Stay safe.
Thanks again, Herman. Take it easy.
Take care. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.